I'm glad you're here. Welcome. 3 things we're going to talk about today is number 1, how to make small living rooms work. 2, what furniture to use in small living rooms that actually works. And 3, how to make it feel cozy. Let's get started. So let's get right to it. The first question is, how do I make my small living room work for real life, especially when I'm having people over? Ding, 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 great question. It's one thing to walk in your living room and for it to look good. It's another thing to be able to use it with friends and family and entertain. First, assess what you have in your space and how many people are coming. Sometimes there's standing room only, and that's just the jam. I'm not gonna address that. But I am gonna address how to make your small living room accessible for people outside a family of, say, 4. You can easily have 8 to 12, and here's how. Most of us have a living room sofa. Most of us have a accent chair or 2, a coffee table, and hopefully we have ottomans. And ottomans and dining chairs are the key here. Modular, movable furniture and accessing furniture you already have in the space is the key to how to make a small living room work when you're entertaining. If people are climbing over each other to get to the coffee table for brie and crackers, or if people are blocking walkways with the furniture that you've accessed, then we have a problem, Houston. So think about how many people you're expecting to work in your living room and create clusters. You might want to push your sofa and an accent chair together over here so these 2 people can talk and there's still room to get to the living room. You might want to create another cluster with 2 ottomans and the accent chair, because then those 3 people can talk. There's never going to be more than 2 dudes on a sofa. It just ain't going to happen. Look at your sofa for entertaining and think about the sofa being cut in half. This is an amazing entertaining designer's tip, I must say so myself, is that you look at the sofa and it's split in half. This side talks to this side and this side talks to this side. It's very rare that the sofa people are going to be in a makeout situation talking in the middle of the sofa. It's just not going to happen. Everyone's going to turn to the outside and talk to their cluster. And then what's happening over here with the coffee table in the middle? Make sure you pull in a dining chair and maybe another little stool or 2 dining chairs clustered together. Now you have people that are clustered together. It's more intimate to talk just to each other, to each other, to each other. And then you still have walkways open to access snacks and people can come and go. So if you have more than 8 to 12 people in your space that's already small for 4, be realistic and say, okay, I'm gonna need another seating arrangement or another area to cluster in another part of the house, which is the kitchen. So just make sure the kitchen has a cute bouquet and your counter stools are accessible, or could be interesting to remove your counter stools so there's more people that can stand around the island rather than just the 3 or 4 or 6 counter stools that you have there. So hopefully that helps. The next question we get a lot is what size furniture actually works in your living room? I cannot answer that question, and neither can you until you do this one thing. That is measure your space. So we have to measure and figure out what we're working with. Then we have a list of items in your living room that you're hoping to fit in. For example, in a small living room, I'd at least hope to fit somewhere I could lounge, like a sofa. In a small living room, I'd like to have in front of the sofa a coffee table or somewhere I can put and display styling, coffee table, book, hors d'oeuvres, and or set my drink down when I'm lounging. Another item I'd want in my living room, big or small, would be an accent chair or 2, and potentially an ottoman or something to put my feet up with that accent chair. A side table would be a dream come true next to the sofa or accent chair to lean to the left or to the right of the accent chair rather than leaning forward to the coffee table. Great, those are my items. Now what fits? The biggest mistake people make is putting too large of furniture in a small space, or too large of furniture in a space that eats up the flow. Small rooms cannot take chaos. Small rooms take more thought and more planning and more intention because you have less space to work with, right? So that's why small living rooms can be challenging. But if you measure first, put your list of items together of what you want to have in your living room, and then start laying it out with blue tape on your floor, you can be more prepared. In your living room, you really do want about 24, that's 2 feet, or 36 inches between pieces. So for example, don't put your 2, side chairs 8 inches apart. You're gonna wanna put them 18 to 24 inches apart to allow them to feel breathing space. Another designer's tip is pull your sofa away from the back wall or the windows or wherever it is to give the back of your sofa breathing space. And you might say to yourself, but wait, Teal, that's gonna shrink my room. Guess what? It gives a feeling of airiness and breath to your room, that everything's not shoved up against the wall, shoved. If you're shoving things against the wall and trying to squeeze things in, that's an indicator that your furniture is too big. If I have to shove my sofa back against the wall to create space for my coffee table, to then create space for my chairs, the number one thing that I would adjust right there is the size of my coffee table. Make that smaller so there's more room to circulate around the coffee table. I can now bring my sofa maybe 8 to 10 inches off the back wall. Breath, exhaling already, feeling great. Now I have my coffee table, it's a tiny bit smaller, and then I've got more room for 2 accent chairs. So I've got this cluster talking to each other and this cluster. What can I add to the room that's mindful and not gonna bring more chaos or too much bulk to allow me to entertain? We know it's floating ottomans or stools or things that I can put away in another room. Ottomans are a great idea to bring into the living room and then take them and shove them under the entry table or behind the sofa or at the side of the sofa when you're not entertaining. Measure first, create space, select furniture thoughtfully based on your measurements and the space that you're working with, and then create flow by, if you need more help with this. This is a great space to reach out to Teal and Scott for consulting services. Let us help you. We can do a Zoom and look at what's happening in your space. We can look at your list of items that you've chosen for your living room and help you apply them or discard them. And ding, 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 you can also look at our Shop My page that gives you ideas for furniture in our aesthetic that you might want to use in your space. But don't forget to measure. Got to make sure they fit. Okay, we're doing so great. The last question we have today to address is, how do I make my living room feel cozy and elevated? A lot of times we see living rooms that look cluttered or cheap, maybe a few too many trips to Target or Home Goods, thinking that, oh, that's cute, I'm gonna add that. Less is more. Start with less. It feels cleaner and feels more breathable, but I think the number one thing that we want to do in our living room is make people feel a certain way. When I have my family or friends in my living room, of course people think, oh my gosh, Teal, you have it all together. Your living room is going to be gorgeous. It's not. Look closely. Sofa is stained. Rug has crap all over it from the last pizza party and bringing firewood in, and mud is scrounged into the woolens. We got all sorts of problems. The list is long. One thing my living room does well for me, and hopefully I can help you do it for you, is it makes people feel good in the space. There's a couple ways that your living room makes you feel good. Number one is the size and scale of your furniture. Number two is the lighting. That's a whole spiel that I've got, but your dim lighting and your layers of lighting make people feel good. Lastly is layering of textures and colors. And that feels good to have linen here, some boucle there, some wool here, a throw there, a pillow there. Those layers of textures help make the room feel elevated. If you want to start small with your layers and elevating your living room, don't invest in a new sofa and 2 chairs. That's silly. Invest in a throw that might be faux fur or a super cozy, beautiful wool. Invest in 2 or 3 pillows, and each of those pillows should have a different size and shape, pattern, and a different fabric. And that then creates different layers of texture right there. One way I've grown as a designer in the last 2 years is with my business partner, Wendy, who happens to have a really keen eye for styling and mixing old and new and creating space for your eye. And I think bringing items into your living room that feel good and have a different tone or texture, that might be an object or a tray or a little piece of art, that is a way that you can make your living room feel more cozy and elevated. That is a beautiful vase that I found that actually was from Goodwill, but I put some cool dried flowers in it and I went on a hike. A little small tray that I found at vintage or antique store that's brass that I put my matches in. Those little items and the layering that you can start to practice. It's hard, it's difficult. You can start to practice and see if it feels a certain way or if it's adding some depth that you're looking for. Some of you probably feel like you've created a space that almost looks like a restoration hardware showroom, and there's no depth to it. Add color in your pillows. Add texture in a sculpture or a throw. Add objects or items on your coffee table. Boom, start there. Immediately, you'll start to feel a change. And if you need ideas of what items for styling or what items for pillows or throws, you can check out our Shop My page. And if you need to take this to the next level, reach out to Teal and Scott for a virtual power hour. There's an amazing idea. Get us with you in your space. Let's go. Hopefully some of today's tips have been helpful to you. We've addressed how to entertain in a small space, how to select furniture for a small space, and how to make your space feel more elevated or cozy. At the end of the day, everyone wants their living room to make you feel good. I want to feel good when I go in there and read or sit by the fire, and I also want you to feel good when you come over when I'm entertaining. And that is the action that we're trying to get to. Not having perfection, not having everything just so, but hopefully some of the tips and tricks we are providing for you can allow you to feel good and you relax as a host, so you then can enjoy and your friends can enjoy being in your space more. I think that's the key. How you feel is how they'll feel. Hope to see you soon at Teal and Scott. A coffee table. And here she comes. So I have to stop the video. Okay, push stop.